Welcome to WeeChats with Brilliant People, hosted by Dr. Allison Rodius, Professor of Sports Psychology at John F. Kennedy University. In each episode, Allison talks to highly successful people in music, sport, and the boardroom. She digs into the mental training techniques that they use to ride out the waves that challenge them in work and in life. So enjoy these WeeChats with Brilliant People.
Welcome back to WeeChats with Brilliant People. Everybody, today I am super excited to talk to Tess Henley, fabulous musician, and she is on the line to me from LA. Welcome, Tess.
Hi, Allison. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. Thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule. I know you're super busy. So I wanted to let people know how I met you. I met you at a David Choi concert when you were supporting for him, and I realized, I'm like, Tess Henley, I know that name. So I've definitely I knew a little bit about you before I met you, and then got the pleasure and the honor of hearing you play. So super excited to have you be part of this WeeChats project.
Yeah, me too. That was a fun show. That was our last show of the tour. So
it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the audience, Tess, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about yourself, so everybody can get a feel of who you are, and describe your vibe.
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, and I write soul music. I play piano, and that's what I do for a living now. So I feel really lucky. Lucky. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it sounds like for anybody who wants to be a musician, it sounds like just such an amazing life that musicians have, but I know there's a lot of super hard elements to it in terms of the amount that you have to practice and the amount of touring that you do and living out of suitcases. So it always sounds a little bit more glamorous than it always is, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I first started, and then once I started learning all the different aspects of the industry and what all goes into it and how much there is, how much you need to do as an artist, especially independently. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah. And how would you describe your style of music? Is there anybody particularly that you sound similar to, or anybody that you've used as a role model as well?
Well, I think I always get compared to a lot of female piano players. But I grew up listening to a lot of different kinds of music, and I feel like the variety of music that I was listening to really, it became who I am as an artist. And one of my favorite artists, Stevie Wonder. I listen to a lot of Motown and soul and, the Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson and Marvin Gaye. And then my mom, who was in a band, she really influenced me a lot. She was the reason why I started singing. But she loves James Taylor and Carole King. And so I was listening to, songwriters, and my mom really harped on, if you want to do something in music, she didn't push that on us, but if you want to, she said, I would highly suggest you start writing your own songs. And so I was listening to, the great songwriters of our time and before that. And so, I picked up a lot of different influences along the way, and I was just drawn to soul music, and not even like what people categorize soul music as, but anything that people are singing from the soul, or the lyrics are real and emotional.
Oh, I like that, singing from the soul, because then you could argue a lot of music is soul music in that respect. Hopefully a lot of people are singing from their soul. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's cool. So did anybody teach you how to perform? Because, my focus is on how do we get ready for performance? How can we learn from people who are at the top of their game in terms of how do they prepare for performing? So did somebody teach you how to perform?
Well, my mom really was the one, from day one, because she was the lead singer of a band. She was always coaching me along the way and to this day, she still is coaching me. But she really, I think she was the one person that who has always kind of been there to give me tips, and outside of that, I just observe other artists and great performers and see how they're interacting with the audience and how they're delivering the song itself.
So what kinds of things have you picked up that you can share with us today? What kinds of things that you have really made a difference for you, do you think?
Well, when I first started, I was painfully shy when I first started, playing my own music and performing in front of people, and so I was going to this vocal teacher in college, and she had me write out everything that I was going to say in between songs, like, oh, hi, how's everybody doing? This next song is blah, blah, blah. And so I wrote out everything, and I had, with my set list on the ground, I had everything that I was going to say. And at some point, I started to realize, that it just was better for me to be more candid and, say whatever was on my mind. And now, if I had something like that, lines telling me what to say, I would probably be more nervous now trying to read those. I've found that just going with every audience is kind of different, so kind of just vibing off of them and feeling like what kind of a crowd it is, and I just try to be in the moment more, and it comes off, I don't know, it's a little bit more, it's obviously more real to do that, and natural. But that's one thing that I try to do with every show, is just be myself, because I don't know, it's easier sometimes just to do it. Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing that you know how to do. You can be yourself.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but sometimes it feels really, it's nerve-wracking a little bit. But once you do it, you realize that it is easy.
Yeah. And so your mom helped, your teacher helped, and then you also, I kind of like the phrase that I'm coming back to this idea of soul, being soulful, because you said your music can be considered soul music, but also you're singing from the soul, you're playing from the soul, and maybe you're also speaking from the soul when you realized, oh my, it's easier to just be me and say what's real. Maybe it's the same kind, you're speaking from the soul.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's easier to do because then you don't have to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So, you touched on something that you said about being nervous. Some
Mhm.
things are nerve-wracking. Do you still get nervous?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's like it depends on the weather. If I'm gonna get nervous, I could be playing, I played on Jimmy Kimmel, and I'm not nervous for that, but then I go in and play an intimate, I don't know, college show with 30 students, and I'm just like sweating. It just depends for me, but I remember hearing Barbara Streisand still gets really nervous, so it doesn't make me feel as bad. I think it's just kind of like with sports, you get that sort of adrenaline every time, before every game or match or whatever. But I've learned to contain it in a better way.
So tell me about that. What does that mean? You've learned to contain it.
Well, when I first started playing, I would get really cold, and I would shake physically, and then it would affect me when I start playing because my hands were shaking, my voice was shaking, and I was just so stiff, and then just a matter of doing it more and more, I got more comfortable with it, and now I've learned to just somehow control that, so it doesn't affect my performance like it did when I first started doing it. I mean, it's still a mental game. It's really a mental thing for me.
What do you mean by that?
Before a show or something, I really have to be mentally. If I start feeling nervous, that's when I really have to focus mentally and not let that go too far. Because if it goes beyond the point of, sometimes my nerves will get the best of me, and so once I start feeling those nerves come on, I really have to focus and,
So, you're fantastically painting a picture. I mean, and you're telling me about this journey. When you get nervous, you've learned to control it, and obviously it depends on various situations. But what does that next part mean then about focus? What do you mean by that?
About how I actually do that?
Yeah, how do you focus?
I like to be in a place that's quiet with no distractions. Sometimes when I'm playing, if I'm at an event, I'm playing at an event or a festival or something, and there's loud, you can hear the bass of the band that's on before you, and I kind of just need to get away from that and calm myself down, and pretty much it's like mental talk and telling yourself all the things that you've done this before, and really there's no need to be nervous, but it's just some sort of physical reaction that I get, and I think just being somewhere solitary and not really doing much or thinking too much, but just trying to stay calm and almost act like it's just another day,
Yeah.
for me with music, I know, like, for example, when I played sports, I didn't really think that way. But with music, I kind of have to think like, oh, this is just normal. Like, no matter what it is, just another day.
Yeah, yeah. You have some really good strategies in place. I mean, I think you've learned a lot in a pretty short space of time because you're still so young. I love the idea of you picking up from Barbara Streisand. And, she's absolutely right, obviously, because she's been doing it a long time. And, nerves are normal. And I would say I would actually be worried about a performer who wasn't nervous in some respects because it kind of means that you've almost lost your edge, or you don't care as much anymore, but you can think about nerves just in a different way. You don't even need to call them nerves. Some people don't. Some people just say, I'm energized or I'm ready. That, when I feel those feelings, that just means that I'm ready. That's part of my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also learned that, when I get that adrenaline rush, for me, it's different. It's with singing, I can't be too, like, when I'm too pumped up, it really doesn't do, it's not a good mix with my music and singing. I have to be excited, but I have to use that adrenaline in a different way.
Yeah, because especially when you're playing, do you play the piano on all your pieces, or do you ever play anything else, or are you always at the piano for every song?
Yeah, I play the piano on all my songs. If I'm with a larger band, then I have a chance to get up from the piano, but obviously playing solo, like I did on David Choi's tour, I was at the piano the whole time.
So I imagine, playing the piano, I mean, I've played the piano for several years, obviously nowhere near as good as you, but I know what it means to, be nervous and how that can literally affect your hands. So, you want that adrenaline to not necessarily make its way to your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key. You can still be full of adrenaline, but it's almost like, I don't know, how do you kind of feel like it's contained in your body as opposed to, you don't want it to go to your voice and you don't want it to go to your hands.
Yeah.
Those are your two things. And your feet, I guess.
Yeah.
You're going to use your feet too.
Yeah. Maybe everywhere else besides that.
Exactly. I love the idea, well, that you were saying you act like it's another day, because that's something that we talk about a lot in sports psychology and performance psychology, in terms of if you can pretend to be something or someone that you that you want to be. Like a runner can have the image of a cheater, or somebody who wants to be really fast, and having those images, and so you can almost channel role models, you can channel other people, or you can just like you said, you can act like it's just another day, because really it is as well, but having that piece, it almost kind of makes it switch on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's like not, you don't want to make it seem like it's just another day, as in you don't care, like you said, but the fact that you've done it before, or that you could just mentally put yourself in where you want to be, or like a role model, and almost transform into that position mentally.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I think So is there anything else that you are trying to work on in terms of your performances going forward? Are there things that you feel like you're still working on?
Well, I think just, playing an instrument and singing and entertaining and, you're doing a lot on stage. So I think for me, I just want to make it come across the most, natural and kind of just take each live situation as its own individual thing. Because I think that's what makes a good show, is when you can really be there with the audience and it becomes a unique situation for them and for you. And so I think just making sure I'm I'm there, and that when I play a song that I've played over and over and over again, that it doesn't become that. It's a new thing every time.
Yeah, I think that's a big challenge for performers, actors who are on the stage as well, doing the same play or the same musical, as well as musicians over and over again. You have to make it feel like it's new again. Do you have any tricks for doing that, or any strategies?
Really, I just kind of almost like when I'm singing the words, I try and just put myself in that place again, and not really think about emotionally how I connected to it the show before, but trying to connect to it in just from a new standpoint, I guess, each time, and really just listen to the words I'm singing and what they meant and what they mean to me. And I feel like that helps.
Do you find that it's easier when it's your words? Do you ever do covers of other people's, and it just changes how much you can connect with it?
Yeah, I think, I write mostly from my own experience, and so those words mean a lot to me. And there are certain songs, when you're singing pop radio music, that the lyrics might not be about anything super deep, or so those are the ones that you really kind of have to I think almost like an actor, and kind of imagine, you have to be that person and imagine what they were feeling when they were writing that song.
And obviously when it's your song, you don't have to imagine because you wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell us, as if maybe advice for an up-and-coming musician, say a young girl, she's a singer-songwriter, she plays the piano or she plays another instrument. What's your advice for somebody who wants to do this for their living?
Well, one thing that I really feel is important, and something I've learned over the years, and I've always considered myself to be I know who I am as a person, and even knowing who you are as a person, when you start getting into the music industry and all that craziness, it can affect, it can sometimes make you even question that, no matter how strong or sound you are with who you are. And so I would say definitely have a strong sense of who you are as a person, along with as an artist. that's a really big one, I think.
That's
And
excellent advice.
yeah, and just to set goals. And for me, I'm still using whiteboards and listing all my goals. And usually when I do that, or task lists or whatever, I mean, everyone's situation is different, and what works for some people doesn't work for others. But for me, I'm setting goals, and it helps me to actually reach those goals.
That is very cool, because we talk about goal setting a lot in my field in sports psychology. So I think it's really important, and it's not always easy to set good goals necessarily. You know, some people choose unrealistic ones, or ones that they don't always have control over. So I think it's really cool that you set goals and you write it down, and you know, hopefully reflect on them as well. So that's great. That's a great mental strategy that you're doing there.
Yeah, it's so funny that this came up, because I just I was shooting a documentary with Guitar Center that they're working on. This is like last week. And they had asked me, they came to Seattle, and I took them around like my hometown places, and they asked me to kind of take them around to the people and places that were important to me getting started in music. And one of the people that I took them to was my high school basketball coach, because it's weird, but I really feel like my coaches from sports really prepared me for the music industry, because of that mental toughness. And sort of, I remember my coach made us read this book called Mind Gym in high school, and it was all about that. And I really felt like that, I mean, a lot of this, you know, self-discipline and being focused and pushing yourself beyond what you think you can do, I feel like that really prepared me for music.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. That's fantastic. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, and there's so much that sports people can learn from musicians too. So that's kind of like what I'm doing with this series on WeeChats, is just helping people understand that performance is performance. It doesn't really matter what arena it's in, or, you know, if you're on the stage, if you're in the boardroom, you're behind a mic, you're on the playing field. Performance is performance, and, you know, we can learn a lot from each other.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of things from those days to now.
Yeah, that's cool. Don't forget it now, because your coach will be proud.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I have one more question, Tess, if you don't mind, that I ask everybody right at the end. It is, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you try to do tomorrow?
Oh, my. Gosh, there's so much you could do. All the things that I, like...
You've only got one day, remember?
I know. Man, let's... Maybe things that I, like, I don't know, surfing or, like, skydiving, things that I tell myself I would not, I don't know. Man, the options are endless.
Something that involves a lot of adrenaline and involves a little bit of danger.
Yeah, but just for that one day, right?
Just for that one day, exactly. And you can't fail,
Okay.
so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, Tess, it has been a real pleasure, an honor, and a treat for us here at WeeChats. So thank you so much for being part of WeeChats with Brilliant People. And good luck on your tour that is coming up soon, and good luck with all your endeavors. And I'm excited to see you again in concert the next time you're in the Bay Area.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was fun.
You're more than welcome. You have a wonderful day, and everybody tune in next time to see who we have on WeeChats with Brilliant People. Thanks a lot.
We hope you enjoyed these WeeChats. You can follow WeeChats with Brilliant People on Twitter at WeeChats and Facebook, and subscribe to the podcast series on iTunes or any Droid platform. WeeChats with Brilliant People.